Hi, welcome to In the Garden. I'm your host, Joyce Hochsprung, McLeod County Master Gardener. All right, this is cold steel, and again, you know I like the tall ones, and it's got nice branching, nice bud count, so that's why it made it in. I'm less about the color than I am about the branching and the bud count when I look for a little daylily. Okay, that sire is done, and let's see here, we have somewhere down here is the, yes, Forza Red. That's another LA. Almost done, but not quite. Forza Red, and I'll have to get around there because I can't remember which white one that is. And down this is one of the few, remember I talked about diploids? This is Tralita, and I keep it just because I like the color on this one. It doesn't have a really great bud count, but it still will, it's sending up, I should call it maybe an extended bloom. It sends up scapes. You can see these are younger scapes than the ones that are blooming, so it still has a fairly long season of bloom. So sometimes it'll send up more than one scape from a fan. So those are other things to watch for. This is another one by the same breeder as Sugar Plum Taffy, Melanie Mason, out in Maine. And another one with a nice bud count. It's not a super exciting bloom, but it's just a nice performer. And then, let's see if I can get to it here. Okay. Another white, and I believe this is an Orient Pet. Apparently I have to get my helpers, my mulch helpers, to remember not to cover the tags with mulch. Oh well, we'll just have to enjoy it as a pretty white one. I'm sure the tag is there, and when I dig it and divide it, I'll find it. But those are a couple more. Oh, Pahasapa Thundercloud is not going to grace us with a bloom today, although it's loaded with them. Lots of them. It's a nice long bloomer. Another one that if I don't set pods on it will need dividing. This one is just coming into bloom, this phlox. It's got nice big florets. And we see this Potentia is trying to take over. Need to do some more digging. Here we go. This is Laura. So the heads aren't as big as some like David, but I love the color with that white kind of curlicue in there. And then all around me is a plant. This is Potentia, not the shrub, although it can almost get shrub-like proportions, but it dies back to the ground. And it's coming into bloom now, and it will bloom like this almost until frost. And I will do a fair amount of cutting back and deadheading, just whacking back at the end, because I don't want 10,000 of them. I already have more than enough. They're easy to move when they're small, not so easy when they're big. You have to do a little more digging, so keep that in mind if you plant these. Back here we have Phlox Nikki, that pink, nice, fairly tall one. I have to keep whacking back Clematis, Mrs. Robert Bryden, because it keeps wanting to take over. So I keep cutting it back just to keep these things from being overwhelmed. And we have this white one is David. just coming into bloom here. This is Hoary Vervain. I like it better in drier locations. It doesn't get quite so big, but I do water this bed. And this was one that the pollinators love it. And it is a prolific reseeder if you don't deadhead. So what I will do is, as soon as we finish up a bloom spike, or most of them, I'll go through and just snip it back, and then it'll send up some more blooms. It'll just be a little bit shorter. So this is one, if you want to do a pollinator bed or a native bed, you might want to look for this one at your native plant places. A daylily called New Design. Kind of like that chartreuse lime eye in there, and then the different colors. So that's kind of a fun one. This is a diploid, so it gives me one to use with some of my other few diploids. And I have a couple blooming, well, if they're open, out in the seedling bed. Sometimes the seedlings, you only get a few blooms the first year. This is Trumpet Lily Passion Moon. It's almost done here. And this is one of those that stays in the trumpet form, so I'm not sure if it's going to stay. I divided it last year and spread it out. And supposedly, when the weather is hot, it opens up more. I don't know, maybe Minnesota doesn't get hot enough, I'm not sure, but it's pretty, but I kind of like to be able to see it. So, and I know the shortness is in part due to being divided, so and we have just a couple blooms left on Eros. That's an Asiatic. It's called the Turk's Cap Lily because of the way the petals fold back. And that one's almost done, but you can see I've clipped off some of those just to take a little weight off of it, but you can see that each of these had blooms on it, so it has a fairly long season of bloom. Go back here. This is a bush type clematis. I still give it some support, but it's kind of crawling out of this. I think I have to come up with a plan B for next year. And I don't know the name of it. Bought it at the plant sale, and the gal that brought it didn't know the name of it, but I thought, well, I'll give it a try. So that is this one. I'm guessing it's something in the Integrifolia, maybe, but I'm not sure. And this one's looking a little spotty after the rain last night, but that one doesn't. It's got a tough stem there, too. But this one has an interesting story. I ordered from a gentleman in Wisconsin last summer some, and when this bloomed, I took a picture of it. I go, well, I don't think this is Return to Narnia. He goes, no, it's not. But I'm looking at it and going, I think I got a good deal, because not only did he then send me Return to Narnia, which isn't blooming quite yet, but I got to keep this one, which is Ebony Plush. I figured out one of his introductions for this year, selling at $50 currently. So I'm like, oh, I can live with that. Because he's like, well, I should also, and I go, no, I'm good. I think I'm good. I've got new introduction. This will do me. But this one is, yesterday, I managed to get a picture yesterday that almost showed how dark it was. I had to get my white umbrella out and hold it behind it, and then try to hold my camera and hold the umbrella and get the shot. But I think I'm going to really like this one. Like I said, it was just planted last year, and I've already got 3 scapes here, so, and nice branching and nice bud count, so I can see me using this one for breeding purposes. Here we have Angelica gigas. This is a biennial, not quite in bloom yet. Looks like it's going to be any time. And I know I've showed it to you in bloom on some of the shows, and you can kind of get a look at this. We'll get a close-up later, and it does look like an alien giving birth to something. So it's kind of this weird-looking thing, but it's a fun one. This is one of my seedlings. I couldn't tell you the cross anymore, but it has a garden name of Mango Sunrise. Person who named it got a division, a couple fans of it to keep. And I haven't registered it yet. I'm still waiting for that really special one to register. I'm getting closer, I think. Okay, I'm going to trip over my sulky. This is Wall of Fire. This is another Carol Emmerich introduction, and I think if you look at the whole clump of it, you can see it's very well named, I think. So, beautiful one. And it tends to, when I use it for breeding, it tends to give this nice ruffled edge to the babies. We have an Orchid for Mother is opening up today. I missed the first bloom on it, but this was just planted last year, so it's a fairly new one. And here we have the white swamp milkweed. Doesn't seem to be quite as prolific a reseeder. I'd actually welcome a few more of the white one, but for some reason, I don't know quite why. Maybe it's the mulch in this area the seedlings don't take. I'm not sure, and we also have the back here, the phlox. That's the Flame series, the purple eye again, with the white eye. We have a little bit of rebloom on this salvia. I think this is Crystal Persuasion or Crystal Blue or something like that. And it was only supposed to be white milkweed over on this side, and this one infiltrated. I think we'll do this one from this side yet. Okay, this is Nate Bremer from Wisconsin introduction. This one is called, he has quite a sense of humor, or seems to, from what I've gathered, House of Misrepresentatives. So, but I like that it's not a real fancy daylily, but there's a lot of different colors going on in here. And again, it has the nice branching and good bud count. This is, these next two are my very first two crosses. So I like to think I've gotten a little better at it since then, but because they're my first, I still keep them around. Oh, yep, this is, Harvest Moonshine. And the gal that gave the name for this one said, I had posted the picture and they were driving home from the cities. They had been out at a party or something, and the moon was shining, and she looked up and looked at the picture and goes, Harvest Moonshine, and she submitted it, and I drew that name, and so it is. So it's got a pretty decent bud count. The branching could be better, but I guess for my first try, I'll keep it. And this one is, let's see. Oh, there we go. Oh yeah, McLeod Mango Punch. So, and the gentleman who named that one was also, well, he didn't take one at the time, but he could if he wanted one yet. So, and then we have just a couple more here. This is another one of the dark ones. This is Jade Star. Also getting to be an oldie. Bud count isn't great, so at some point it may or may not go. We'll see if I find something I'd like better that I want to replace it with. But for now, it gets to stay. And then over there, I believe that one is Scattered Through Time. Whoops, stepping on my poppies. Yes. And it's just a pretty, nice, it's nothing real flashy, but not bad. And here we have Leichnanii again, back here. That species lily we talked about earlier. And this is Sarracenia, which I think I need to dig up and separate just because she's not looking healthy, but I love the color on her. And she does tend to have some leaf spot issues, but it's just until I find one that can give me that color with that glitter edge, I guess she gets to stay. Okay, I was hoping that Kingdom Bound would be open today, but not quite. She's going to be open tomorrow. But the ironweed is starting to bloom. I've only had this a few years, and you can see it's made a pretty sizable clump. This is another wildflower. I love that purple shade. I did get a few seedlings this year for the first time, I think 3 or 4, which wasn't too bad. And like I said, I absolutely love the color on it. You see, we have a few little pollinators hiding out on there. And then we'll come around this way a bit.
Can I ask you a question, Joyce? So, while we tour your garden, and as a new person, you mentioned that you received lilies, or that you've purchased plants, or that you've contacted other growers. Now, we know that you can purchase lilies at the spring or fall plant sale. How would a new person go about purchasing other lilies that they've seen in your garden? Is there certain catalogs? Is there certain websites? Can you give suggestions on where a new person would go to?
I would suggest there's a Facebook group just for daylilies, actually a few of them, and I would ask questions there. As master gardeners, we can't give specific recommendations to companies or businesses, but if you Google northern daylilies or northern daylily breeders, you'll come up with quite a fairly good list of sellers with websites that you can visit and check them out. Okay. Over here we have Cyber Dragon. And again, I was hoping Venus Flytrap would be open, but he is not, or she, whatever you want to call it. So this is another Nate Bremer out of Wisconsin daylily. Again, pretty good bud count, not exceptional, but nice, and I like the bloom, and I like the height. As you may have noticed, I too tend to like the taller ones, so I don't have to bend so far to look at them, because I have a long way to go, you know. That's kind of a shade one. It's got a neat leaf down here. It's not a huge impact bloomer like the lilies and stuff, but it's kind of a fun little plant. It's up on the top of a slope here, so it doesn't get real it doesn't go crazy like it would if it were down at the water's edge someplace. It would be a good plant for near water. Here we have a nice tall one. This is one of those Ohio bred ones again, so I don't get the bud count that they do, but I still enjoy this one. If I can untangle these scapes here. This is Heavenly Mirage. Jamie Gossard's, that's the name of his daylily operation, is Heavenly Gardens. It's just the colors in it. Earlier in the morning, this will look more green, almost chartreuse, or it's just got more of a green tone. Maybe the camera is picking it up, I'm not sure. But yeah. And it's got diamond dusting, which means it looks like it's got little sparkles all over the petal. Last year I threatened it and told it if it didn't start performing better, it was going to go. And this year it's putting on a pretty good show, so never be afraid to threaten your plants, I guess. And here we have, I'll have to dig for the tag on this one, I can't remember it, but another Orient Pet. You can kind of tell the leaves are a little broader than on an Asiatic. That gives you a clue that there's Oriental lily in the background somewhere. And then we have this one, which is just a couple years old. This one is another Nate Bremer one, 44th parallel. And you can see it's got very nice branching, which, it's nice if the blooms are spread out a little bit over the scape instead of all at the top. For years, that was all you could get, was ones that were all at the top. This is kind of getting a little bit, it's slowly moving that way. Like I said, breeders have been working really hard, backyard breeders included, that have been working at getting the branching, the bud count for the north And you know, we're making progress. We may never hit the 50 like they can get in some places in the south, but we are definitely making progress. And let's see, I don't think, oh, sweet butter curls. This one, for years I thought it was Satisfaction till I went to dig it up last year and sell some of the bulbs at the plant sale, and then I'm going, that's not Satisfaction. I bought Satisfaction, but apparently I didn't get Satisfaction. And I looked it up last year and I forgot to make a new tag for it, but it was purple something. So not Satisfaction, but still nice. And this one, I think the tag is right back here behind my Helenium, maybe. Or in front of the Helenium, maybe. Yes, Palazzo. This one is Palazzo, another Orient pet. So, and this is still going. I see the grasshoppers have really been liking the leaves on this one, but this is Indigo Sapphire, Clematis, a small flowered one. This has been blooming for quite a long time as well. And I do have to tie this one to the support. It is not a climber with tendrils. So you want to keep that in mind. If it's not a climber, you're probably going to have to attach it somehow with clips or those soft vinyl green ties or whatever you like to use. And one more daylily, and I think, oh, okay. This one is one of mine. This one, somebody named. It's not registered. Although sometimes I divided it last fall, and on this one you would not know it hasn't missed a beat, but it's got a pretty good branching, decent bud count, not phenomenal, but this one was called Sweet Butter Curls. All right, thanks for joining us today in the garden. We'll see you next time.